Chosen one, anchor your spirit to what I am about to reveal, because what I uncovered while preparing this message made me sit in absolute silence for a very long time. I know what your last few weeks have felt like. The atmosphere in your home has been heavy, and you wake up at 3 in the morning with a crushing weight on your chest that you simply cannot explain. You walk through your own life feeling like a complete stranger. The enemy has been working overtime against you for one reason and one reason only. He knows exactly what shifts in the spiritual realm the moment you finally receive these words. You did not find this message by accident today. The algorithm did not bring you here. This is a divine appointment scheduled before the foundations of the earth. And in the next few minutes, I am going to reveal why your painful financial isolation was never a punishment. I will expose the one lie that has been keeping your money trapped. And I will give you the exact declaration that seals everything. Do not click away. If you leave before the end, you walk away from the verdict. You have been carrying a very specific frustration for a long time. You work harder than almost everyone around you. You pour your energy into your goals and your family. But despite all of this constant sacrifice, your financial reality refuses to reflect your massive spiritual effort. You have tried everything they told you to try. You prayed for hours. You practiced the law of attraction until you were completely exhausted. And even after doing all the right things for years, your bank account stays incredibly frozen. It feels like you are pushing a massive boulder up a steep hill while the rest of the world just watches. Meanwhile, you watch other people succeed with zero effort. You see people who lack your integrity stumble into massive financial blessings every single day. They get the promotions and the unexpected checks. They buy the homes and take the beautiful trips. And you sit there quietly wondering what is wrong with you while you struggle to pay for basic groceries. You wonder if heaven simply forgot about you. You are not imagining this bizarre imbalance. You are not being too sensitive. What you are experiencing right now is a very real spiritual reality. The people around you might tell you to just work harder or budget your money better, but they give you ordinary advice for a problem that is deeply spiritual and entirely misunderstood. That invisible barrier pushing against your finances is heavy. It makes you feel like you are constantly trapped in survival mode. You are tired of calculating every single penny before you spend it. And you are utterly exhausted from worrying about your future while desperately trying to stay faithful in the present moment. The constant pressure is draining your light. I need you to hear me clearly right now. You have not failed. This financial drought is not your fault. You are not broken, and you are certainly not being punished by God. The huge gap between your immense potential and your current reality is not a character flaw. It is something else entirely. And it is something you can actually fix. You have always sensed that you were meant for a life of deep abundance. Since you were a child, you carried a silent knowing about your massive assignment. You felt a unique frequency inside you that made learning and creating feel incredibly effortless. Back then, the world seemed to magically work with you instead of fighting against every step you took. But something shifted as you grew older. The modern world demanded your conformity. The stress of survival mode slowly pushed your natural gifts deep below the surface. The deep intuition and the sudden flashes of genius went completely silent inside your mind. You lost access to the exact frequency that was originally designed to attract your financial provision. Before we go any further, I want to hold something in front of you. Something that was discovered not inside a church, but inside a clinical research laboratory. It is something that recently won the highest scientific recognition available in the world. Most chosen ones have never been told about this amazing discovery because it threatens the systems that keep you exhausted. This discovery explains the exact gap you have felt for years. It explains why your intense spiritual efforts are not translating into physical wealth. I will show you exactly what the scientific researchers finally found. I will give you the precise name of this amazing phenomenon, but I cannot reveal the entire truth to you just yet. First, you must understand what was taken from you. You have to see the hidden mechanism that blocks your money. So I need you to hold this one critical question in your mind as we continue. What if the massive gap between your immense effort and your daily reality is not a spiritual failure? What if this invisible financial block actually has a scientific name? Keep listening, because the answer changes everything. I need to completely reframe your reality right now. You have looked at your empty bank account and called it a massive curse. You believed your daily financial struggles were proof that heaven had disqualified you. But that painful isolation you have been calling a harsh punishment was never a punishment. It was always meant to be a clear sign. God did not remove your physical resources to break you, and He certainly did not isolate you just to watch you suffer alone. The universe removed the overwhelming noise so you could finally recognize the broken pieces. Your current financial drought is absolutely not evidence of your spiritual disqualification. It is actually profound evidence of your divine selection. The enemy does not waste premium attacks on people without premium assignments. The intense warfare against your money simply proves the incredible magnitude of your true calling. You are being prepared for something much bigger than you can currently see, but you must pass this test first. The massive block keeping you from abundance is not a lack of faith. It is not because you failed to pray hard enough or work long enough. The people and the money avoiding you are simply reacting to a jammed signal. Your internal spiritual depth is already incredibly strong today, but the biological receiver, designed to broadcast your powerful intentions into the physical world, is currently blocked, and it has been keeping your blessings locked in the unseen realm. You were never meant to be exactly like everyone else around you. You were meant to carry one specific assignment that only you can fulfill. You cannot fulfill a massive spiritual assignment while operating on a severely suppressed human frequency. Your body is a biological antenna designed to catch the whispers of heaven. And right now, that precious antenna is completely buried under decades of accumulated stress, which means you have been fighting a brutal spiritual battle with a completely disconnected weapon. Here is what the world never told you about your missing wealth. The reason the universe responds rapidly to certain people and not others is not luck. It is not about having superior discipline or practicing better karma. It is quite literally a physically measurable brainwave inside your head. The scientific community calls this powerful frequency gamma, and it is the exact frequency your brain was running when you were a young child, before the heavy burdens of the world crushed your natural joy. Think back to when you were very young, and the world felt entirely open. Back then, the most brilliant ideas came to you without any struggle. You learned complex new things quickly and easily. You somehow knew events before they even happened. When you were operating in that pure childhood state, the entire world felt like it was completely on your side. That effortless genius was not just a wild childhood imagination. That was your gamma frequency working exactly as heaven originally designed it. Then cruel adulthood suddenly arrived and demanded your total submission. The modern world went to work on your brilliant and sensitive mind. The relentless stress of simply trying to survive began to crush your natural gifts. The rigid school systems trained you to conform instead of creating new realities. Every single year, this sacred frequency was suppressed a little bit further. It was pushed deeper and deeper below the surface of your conscious mind, and eventually, that beautiful spark of divine intelligence finally fell asleep entirely. The brilliant version of you slowly faded away into the loud background. The child with photographic memory and lightning-fast intuition went completely silent. The version of you that carried incredible supernatural luck simply disappeared. Your natural genius was entirely replaced by chronic anxiety and endless exhaustion. And the most tragic part of this entire story is that you actually blamed yourself for losing this divine connection when it was systematically stolen from you. You wrongly assumed you just were not working hard enough to succeed. But your deep intuition and your ability to attract massive wealth were not lost. They were simply covered up by the toxic survival mode that society forced upon you. When your gamma fades, your inherent genius fades right along with it. The beautiful daily synchronicities stop happening in your life entirely. The deep, comforting sense that the universe is working directly with you goes completely cold, leaving you feeling abandoned in a very crowded room. Those who profit from your exhaustion want to keep you in this low state forever. They want you distracted so you never realize what was violently stolen from your mind. Most people will live their entire lives without ever knowing this tragedy happened to them. They will struggle and die thinking they were just unlucky victims of a random universe. But you are absolutely not like most of those ordinary people. You are meant to wake up today, and you are destined to reclaim the immense power that was taken from your spirit so long ago. You are a chosen one who deeply feels the absolute truth of these words. And the crucial question I asked you to hold earlier is about to be resolved. Remember, I asked if your massive financial gap is not a character flaw, and I asked you, what if this invisible barrier actually has a real scientific name? The answer to that profound question is so much closer than you think. But here is where the narrative of your long journey delves far deeper than most ordinary people are willing to ever perceive. You have to look at the ancient patterns. Every chosen one in history walked this exact same path. Before they could ever step into their massive public authority, they had to be completely isolated. Heaven always clears the room before it speaks the biggest secrets. Think about Moses wandering in the dry and empty wilderness. Most people read that ancient story and see a terrible punishment. They falsely assume he was wandering aimlessly because he made a massive mistake back in the land of Egypt. But that desert was never an exile. It was a massive acoustic chamber built specifically for him. God had to strip away every single distraction. The loud noise of his old life was completely blocking his spiritual receiver. Moses could not hear the subtle frequency of the burning bush while he was still living inside the incredibly loud palace. So the universe forced him into total isolation. And that is exactly what is happening to your life right now. You are not being pushed away by the world. You are being pulled aside by the Creator. God removed the crowded room so he could finally speak to you without any interference. The people who recently walked away from you did not reject you. They were simply removed from your frequency. They were grieving the old version of you that they are about to lose forever. Your painful isolation is actually the sacred forge where your internal antenna is being perfectly rebuilt for the coming season. Think of your spiritual awareness like a massive and incredibly sensitive radio tower. When you are constantly surrounded by the loud static of modern survival, the beautiful tower simply cannot pick up the subtle signals. The heavy noise of bad relationships and financial panic jams the divine transmission. Heaven is broadcasting the exact location of your financial provision every single day. But your receiver has been covered in toxic static for years. You simply cannot catch the subtle frequency of a breakthrough when your exhausted mind is constantly screaming in pure panic. That is why the profound silence of your current season feels so incredibly heavy. It is the painful process of retuning your broken instrument. The universe is desperately trying to recalibrate your mind. You are going through the crucible of total preparation. The intense heat of this constant financial pressure is slowly burning away every single false attachment you ever held onto. You thought you were losing your mind during those quiet nights, but you were actually losing the heavy programming that kept you completely broke. You are standing between two identities right now. The old you is rapidly dissolving into the silent background, and the brand new you that heaven is quietly birthing is finally starting to take a very deep breath today. You are not the misunderstood victim of a terrible economy. You are the chosen receiver of a massive spiritual inheritance, and a massive inheritance requires a very strong vessel to hold the immense weight of the blessing. If God handed you the massive financial breakthrough yesterday, it would have crushed your spirit completely under its immense weight. Your internal frequency was not properly aligned to sustain that level of intense energy. Money is not just physical paper in a bank account. Money is a very specific spiritual frequency of pure provision, and you have to match that exact frequency before you can hold it. That is the real hidden secret behind your incredibly painful and frustrating waiting season over the last few long years. You were never waiting for God to finally decide to bless your life. The blessing was already arranged and dispatched before you were even born. The arrangement is actively in motion right now. Heaven has been waiting for your biological receiver to be fully restored. The provision is simply waiting for you to see it. This is why the enemy fights so incredibly hard against your peace of mind. He knows that if you ever sit still long enough, your receiver will turn back on. He floods your daily life with endless loud distractions and sudden financial emergencies that always seem to drain your accounts. He wants to keep you completely focused on the physical lack, so you never tune into the spiritual abundance. He is absolutely terrified of your potential. Every time you almost reach a state of deep peace, something randomly breaks down. Your car suddenly needs a massive repair, or a completely unexpected bill arrives in the mail. You might think this is just a random string of terrible bad luck ruining your life over and over again. But it is a highly coordinated attack against your internal frequency. The darkness is trying to keep your genius locked away in a chaotic box. But here is where the story completely changes for you today. You are finally waking up to the reality of the invisible war. You now recognize that your lonely and quiet wilderness is actually your greatest strategic advantage in this entire battle. The quiet isolation has given you the sacred space to finally hear your own thoughts. And once that profound truth clicks into place, you are ready for the next layer. Coming up in just a moment, I will expose the exact deception keeping most chosen ones entirely trapped. Let this profound truth settle deeply into your spirit right now. The enemy does not actually care about your physical money at all. He does not care about the pieces of paper in your wallet. He cares entirely about the powerful spiritual signal you constantly emit, because he knows that physical money is simply a natural byproduct of a clear spiritual frequency. If he can successfully disrupt your internal frequency, the money stops flowing automatically. He does not have to steal your bank account directly. He just has to steal your deep peace. He sends sudden chaos into your daily life to force your mind into survival mode. He sends broken relationships and constant emergencies just to lower your divine vibration back down to pure fear. You honestly thought the massive attack against you was purely financial. You looked at the unpaid bills and felt completely defeated. But it was never a financial attack. It was always a highly coordinated assault on your spiritual bandwidth. The darkness desperately wants to keep your biological receiver jammed with toxic static, because when your frequency is finally clear, you become incredibly dangerous to the enemy. A chosen one with a clear connection to heaven can shift entire communities. You attract massive resources effortlessly when your signal is pure. And that is exactly why you were targeted so heavily your entire life. Every single time you started to build real momentum, a sudden crisis would hit you out of nowhere. You felt exhausted and completely drained, but you were actually winning the spiritual war. The intense warfare against your life is the absolute proof of your massive magnitude. They simply do not send heavy artillery to fight a minor threat. The enemy deployed his absolute best weapons against you because your potential terrified him. Your massive spiritual assignment requires a massive supply of divine provision, and the darkness is absolutely terrified that you are finally waking up today. You are beginning to realize that your deep sensitivity is actually your greatest weapon. The heavy burden you carried for years was just the weight of your unactivated potential. You thought you were fundamentally broken because you could not function like ordinary people. But you were never broken at all. You were just built to operate on a completely different frequency than the rest of the world. Ordinary people can survive perfectly fine while disconnected from their deep intuition. They can work terrible jobs and live mundane lives without feeling any real pain. But you physically ache when you are completely disconnected from your true purpose. Your soul simply refuses to accept a mediocre existence, and this intense refusal is exactly what makes you a massive threat to the old systems of control. The enemy knows that if you ever unlock your divine funding line, you will become completely unstoppable. You will build the exact things you were sent here to build. You will bless the exact people you were sent here to bless. That is why the financial drought had to be so incredibly severe. He had to convince you that heaven had abandoned you completely. He wanted you to simply give up on your massive dreams. But you did not give up. You survived what should have completely broken your spirit. You kept searching for the deep truth, even when everything around you was falling apart. And because you survived the intense pressure, your internal receiver has been purified in the fire. You are finally ready to receive the massive download that heaven has been trying to send you. But here is where the narrative delves far deeper than you likely anticipated. And once this profound truth clicks into place, your entire reality will shift. You have survived the brutal attacks from the enemy outside. But there is still another subtle layer beneath this entire struggle, and if you do not clearly see this hidden root, it will keep operating beneath every single season of your life. I promise to expose the one lie keeping your money trapped. The thing quietly blocking your massive breakthrough is not actually the enemy anymore. The brutal attacks from the outside world have already failed to destroy you. The real block is something hidden deep inside you that you have completely mistaken for wisdom. You have been carrying a silent internal agreement that is actively pushing your blessings away. Coming up in just a moment, I will expose this exact hidden block. I will show you how to finally remove it without any exhausting effort. But first you must let this current revelation anchor deep into your soul like solid bedrock. You are not a helpless victim of a terrible economy. You are a powerful receiver preparing for a massive activation, and your financial breakthrough is much closer than you think. Let the profound weight of this truth settle into your bones. The universe is not withholding your money because you are unworthy. The provision is already completely arranged and actively moving toward you right now. You just have to clear the final piece of internal static so you can finally recognize the blessing when it arrives. Stay closely with me because the most important revelation is still coming. Before we go any further, I have to tell you something incredibly important. Something the people who heavily profit from your exhaustion do not want you to know. Neuroscientists, working quietly away from the loud headlines, have finally discovered how to bring this dormant brainwave back. And the solution is not what you think it is. You do not need years of intense meditation that most ordinary people simply cannot sustain. You do not need massive biofeedback machines that cost thousands of dollars and require a clinical setting. They found something far simpler. They discovered something far more naturally aligned with exactly how your beautiful mind was originally designed to work. They engineered a specific sound frequency to gently guide your brainwave patterns back to the genius state you were born with. Researchers at Princeton University studied it closely. The famous Einstein Center in Berlin thoroughly confirmed it. And Columbia University found that when this specific brainwave is reactivated, it does not just stop with you. It actually begins to powerfully influence the people around you. Your deep frequency radiates outward and affects your partner and your children. 7 minutes a day is absolutely all it takes, and it begins working the very first time you close your eyes and listen. You do not have to struggle or force anything to happen. I will tell you exactly what this is called and how to safely access it before this message ends. But first, there is something critical you need to deeply understand about why your breakthrough has been delayed. We have to look closely at the invisible wall standing right in front of you, because the external enemy has already lost. The darkness completely failed to destroy you with financial panic and heavy isolation. You survived the intense pressure, and you kept your spiritual antenna completely intact. But heaven cannot pour a massive financial blessing into a vessel that is secretly terrified of holding it. And this brings us to something that most chosen ones miss entirely. You have been fighting the external shadows for so long that you ignored the internal room. You have carefully built a massive protective wall around your own heart to survive the intense pain. And while that thick wall definitely kept the dangerous enemies out, it also kept the beautiful provision from entering. You locked the door from the inside. This is not a harsh accusation against you. It is a loving diagnosis meant to finally set you completely free today. You have been unconsciously operating under a very subtle vow of poverty. You secretly believed that staying small and financially struggling made you more holy or more spiritually pure. The toxic world taught you to literally fear your own massive power. You were taught that having abundant wealth would somehow corrupt your beautiful soul. So every time a massive financial breakthrough got close to you, your subconscious mind panicked. Your deep internal programming literally pushed the money away to keep you feeling spiritually safe. You sabotaged the exact blessings you were praying to receive. You cannot consciously pray for abundance while subconsciously treating money like a dangerous weapon. Heaven will never force a massive financial blessing upon someone who secretly rejects it. The universe respects your internal boundaries far too much to violate them. So the divine provision just waits patiently right outside your heavily guarded door. The waiting season was never about God deciding if you were finally worthy enough. You were always worthy. The delay was entirely about giving you enough time to recognize your own internal resistance. You had to realize that the heavy armor you wore for survival was now the exact thing crushing your spirit. It is finally time to take off the heavy armor. The intense isolation you experienced was designed to make you face this exact hidden truth. You had to sit in the quiet wilderness until you could clearly hear your own subtle fears. And now you are finally ready to confront the quiet voice that tells you to play small. You are completely ready to break the old agreements you made with endless lack. Lean in very close right now, because what I am about to impart next is the ultimate cycle-breaking truth. The thing blocking your financial freedom is not the economy, and it is not your lack of hard work. It is a quiet internal agreement that you are about to absolutely shatter. Let this profound realization settle deep into your spirit before we continue. Your massive breakthrough is not hiding in the distant future waiting to be found. It is already here, and it is actively pushing against the invisible boundaries you built. You are standing at the absolute edge of a massive activation today, Stay with me right now, because the gentle confrontation coming next will change your entire financial reality forever. Here is the part that no one really wants to hear. And I say this to you right now with absolutely nothing but love. You have spent your entire life fighting external battles against the darkness. You survived the brutal attacks from people who completely misunderstood your sensitive heart. But while you were successfully fighting the outside world, a very quiet enemy built a home inside your own mind. The brutal truth is that your biggest block is quietly living inside you. And here is where it gets truly confrontational. We must look honestly at a very subtle snare that has kept you completely trapped for decades. Because the thing quietly blocking your massive financial breakthrough is not the economy, and it is not a lack of effort. It is that some quiet part of you has been absolutely terrified of your own power. You have been subconsciously dimming your brilliant light just to keep other people comfortable. You saw what money and power did to the toxic people who surrounded you. You watched arrogant people abuse their massive resources to hurt the innocent. So your beautiful and sensitive soul made a silent vow, and you decided that staying small and constantly struggling was somehow a more pure way to live. You associated massive wealth with deep corruption, and because you possess a highly sensitive spirit, you subconsciously rejected the frequency of money entirely. This is absolutely not an accusation against you. It is the loving diagnosis that finally sets you completely free today. You were just trying to protect your pure heart from a toxic world, but that old survival tactic is now starving you and keeping your purpose locked away. Poverty does not make you holy, and constant financial struggle does not make you a better person. It simply makes you an incredibly exhausted chosen one. Heaven cannot fund your massive spiritual assignment while you are secretly rejecting the physical provision every single day, because you literally cannot change the broken world if you cannot even afford to feed yourself and take care of your beautiful family. The universe actually needs you to be wildly wealthy. God desperately needs trusted receivers who will not be corrupted by massive abundance. And because you have a pure heart, you are the exact person who is supposed to hold these heavy resources. The darkness wants the massive wealth to stay entirely in the hands of the greedy. Your persistent refusal to claim your divine financial inheritance only helps the enemy continue his destructive plans. It is time to completely break this invisible contract with lack. You have to finally release the intense fear of your own magnitude. What you carry inside you is not a fragile wound. It is a massive spiritual weapon. The deep sensitivity they told you to hide is actually a brilliant radar, and the emotional depth that made you feel like too much is the exact thing that draws true wealth. You were never fundamentally broken. You were just built for a completely different frequency. And right now, that divine frequency is beginning to powerfully reactivate inside your mind. The old version of you that accepted tiny crumbs is rapidly dissolving, while the new version of you is finally stepping into the massive authority that was written for your life. Feel this incredible energetic shift happening in your spirit right now. Something is fundamentally shifting in your favor at this very moment. Even if your physical eyes cannot see it yet, the spiritual realm is heavily moving. Heavy doors that were completely sealed for years are suddenly loosening, and massive opportunities that felt impossibly far away are quietly moving toward your doorstep right now. You are not desperately chasing your distant financial breakthrough anymore. The beautiful breakthrough is actively finding its way to you. The long season of painful preparation is officially complete. You are not the exact same person who started watching this video today, because you are finally ready to stop letting the loud world dull your gifts, and you are completely prepared to step into the massive flow of divine abundance. This is your exact moment of total transformation, not tomorrow, and not when you finally feel ready. The spiritual activation is happening right now. Some profound messages do not just inform your logical mind, they actually activate your dormant spirit. And if something stirred deep in your soul just now, you are absolutely ready for what comes next. You are ready to open the direct funding line. The painful isolation is permanently over. The heavy confusion is finally lifting from your exhausted shoulders. And now comes the pivotal moment where everything permanently shifts. This is the critical juncture where you finally take your financial power back from the darkness, and you are about to seal this amazing revelation with your own voice. Prepare your heart for the ultimate spiritual release, because the specific words you speak next will echo loudly through the entire spiritual realm. They will completely shatter the old agreements you made with endless lack and deep poverty. Heaven is listening very closely to your exact frequency right now, and the massive provision is just waiting for your clear signal. Stay completely locked in, because your entire financial reality is about to change forever. Tonight, before you sleep, I need you to do something incredibly powerful. Place your hand firmly on your heart and declare this profound truth with me out loud. I completely release the need to be small. I release every single agreement I ever made with poverty and lack. I step boldly into my divine assignment today. My painful isolation was absolutely preparation and not a punishment. I am a chosen receiver of heavenly provision, and I no longer fear my own massive power. My financial breakthrough is not coming, because it is already here. I am stepping into the abundant frequency that was written for my life, and the direct funding line is officially open. Take a very deep breath right now. Feel that heavy spiritual weight finally lifting off your tired shoulders. You just shattered the invisible ceiling that kept your money trapped for decades. Heaven heard your clear declaration. And the question I asked you to hold at the beginning of this message is ready. What if the gap has a scientific name? Here is the absolute answer. A specific brain wave called the gamma wave was running in you as a child at genius capacity. Princeton University has heavily studied it. The famous Einstein Center in Berlin thoroughly confirmed it. Columbia University found that restoring this powerful wave radiates outward to beautifully influence your loved ones. A brilliant team of neuroscientists spent years studying this exact phenomenon. They compressed the full clinical protocol for gamma reactivation into just 7 minutes. But before I tell you what they finally built, let me tell you about 2 people who used it. A woman from California had tried absolutely everything. She tried intense meditation and endless manifesting without any real results. Nothing broke the heavy fog surrounding her life. But after 2 weeks of listening, she said something simply cleared. Her struggling marriage completely shifted. Her mind sharpened. She described her daily life as enchanted for the very first time. A man from Texas started using it to improve his failing business focus. 2 months later, his wife joked that his IQ had jumped 20 points. The hardest problems he used to lose sleep over started solving themselves while he rested. He said it felt like his brain was finally running on what it was always supposed to run on. That is exactly what the researchers built for you. They call it the Genius Song. It is not a basic meditation app, and it is certainly not a generic sound frequency. It is a 7-minute audio track using advanced brain entrainment technology. It is the exact same underlying research that Princeton and Columbia thoroughly validated. It is completely compressed from 1 full hour of clinical protocol into something you do at home. You just use your headphones and close your eyes. That is the entirety of what it actually requires. You do not meditate or chant. You simply let the powerful frequency do what your biological brain was perfectly designed to receive. The Genius Song is not for everyone watching this video. It is specifically for the chosen one who has already done the deep inner work. It is for the person who understands that their block is the frequency through which blessings move. If your spirit confirms this is for you, the clear path is waiting below. Biofeedback sessions to restore this state cost hundreds of dollars per hour in a clinical setting. An in-home machine runs thousands of dollars. What the Genius Song delivers in 7 minutes is available to you today for a fraction of its true value, because the creators believe it belongs in the hands of chosen ones like you. 4 incredibly powerful bonuses come directly with it. You get an audio designed specifically for your children. You receive the original prosperity text that the secret was secretly built upon. You get a beautiful guided visualization. And you receive a daily habits guide built to sustain the gamma state beyond each listening session. Here is the deeper truth about waiting for your blessing. The provision God arranged for you does not arrive as something entirely new. It actually arrives as a profound recognition. Something already placed in your path becomes visible when your gamma is completely restored. Waiting is not neutral because the arrangement is in motion. Do not look for this on YouTube or Spotify. The fake tracks circulating under similar names on those platforms have zero brain entrainment technology encoded. They carry the name because the barrier to doing so is zero. The only authentic version is available through the secure link that has been placed in the description. The universe requires absolutely no risk from you today. If you do not feel the massive shift, every single penny is returned to you. That is an energetic exchange governed by complete and total trust. The verified link is waiting in the description and in the pinned comment below. Walk through the door while it remains open. The tool does not ever replace your spiritual obedience. It does not replace your beautiful surrender to the Creator. It simply restores the receiver through which obedience and surrender produce their miraculous results. Whether that specific path is for you or not, the deep truth of this message belongs to you entirely. Now let us go deeper into what heaven is doing. For the chosen one, whose spirit deeply confirmed what was described earlier, the path remains completely open in the description below. You already know if this specific restoration was meant for you. I will say absolutely nothing more about it today. That is the last time it will be mentioned. What follows right now belongs entirely to your spiritual ceiling. The long season of painful preparation is officially complete. You are stepping out of the dark wilderness and walking directly into the brilliant light. And tomorrow morning you are going to wake up feeling completely different. A deep sense of permanent peace will wash over your entire beautiful mind. You are finally returning to your original divine state. You will no longer feel like a lonely stranger inside your own home. The heavy, invisible weight you carried for decades has been permanently lifted from your tired shoulders, because you finally stopped fighting your own immense power and accepted your true calling. Your spiritual receiver is completely open, and the toxic static noise is permanently gone. Every single tear you cried in the dark was carefully recorded by the universe. Nothing you endured during those silent years was ever wasted. The intense pain you survived actually built the massive spiritual capacity you need for this new season, and the beautiful provision that was waiting for your frequency to clear is actively moving toward you today. You are officially a cycle breaker for your entire family bloodline. The generational curses of deep poverty and endless lack stop completely with you, because you had the incredible courage to face your hidden fears and break the old agreements. Your children and their children will inherit a completely different reality, and they will never have to face the heavy financial burdens you carried because of your brave choice today. The people around you will begin to notice a massive shift in your energy. They will not be able to explain the beautiful radiance that surrounds your daily life. The individuals who walked away from you during your isolation will wonder how you became so incredibly peaceful. But you do not need to explain your profound spiritual journey to anyone who doubts you, because heaven has already validated your amazing path. You are no longer desperately chasing your distant financial breakthrough. You are simply holding the pure frequency that naturally attracts massive abundance from every single direction. Money will begin to flow into your life from incredible sources you never even imagined. And because your heart is pure, you will use this amazing wealth to deeply bless the broken world around you while building a powerful legacy. God trusts you with this massive provision because He knows your true character. You were never corrupted by the toxic systems that tried to completely crush your spirit. You remained incredibly faithful, even when you had absolutely nothing physical to show for your massive efforts. That profound loyalty is exactly why heaven selected you to carry this heavy new mantle of total abundance. I want you to rest deeply in this beautiful assurance tonight. You do not have to figure out every single step of your completely new future right now. The universe will guide you gently and reveal the exact path exactly when you need to see it. Your only job is to remain completely open and deeply trust the divine timing of your amazing new reality. The toxic anxiety that used to keep you completely awake at night is permanently gone. It has been beautifully replaced by a steady and unshakable confidence in your divine assignment. You finally know exactly who you are and why you were sent to this earth, and absolutely nothing the enemy tries to do can ever steal this profound clarity from your soul again, because you are permanently sealed by the Creator. You are stepping into a beautiful season of effortless spiritual momentum. The heavy doors that required so much exhausting effort to open will now swing wide open on their own. The right people will naturally gravitate toward your beautiful frequency without any forced networking. Everything you touch will begin to powerfully prosper because you are perfectly aligned with the abundant heart of heaven. Let the profound peace of this quiet moment completely wash over your tired body. You are entirely safe, and you are incredibly loved by the Creator of the universe. The chaotic storms of your painful past are officially behind you, and the bright new horizon is completely clear of any dark clouds. You have successfully passed the hardest test of your entire spiritual life with amazing grace. I speak a permanent seal of divine protection over your beautiful mind and your growing finances. I declare that every single trap set by the enemy is completely destroyed right now. Your direct funding line is officially open, and the heavenly resources are flowing freely. Walk forward in massive confidence because you are exactly where you are supposed to be. You are the chosen one. You are the faithful receiver of massive divine blessings, and your beautiful new life begins at this exact moment in time. Let the deep, eternal peace of heaven rest upon your spirit forever. Everything is finally complete.